Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for October 31st, 2025, Halloween for those who celebrate that event. I'm Benji Fisher, sharing my screen and moderating, and also present are Ralph Kohler and Simo Helston. And we've decided to continue the discussion from last week's meeting. I wasn't here, but Simo and Ralph were both here. Deleting filter formats may result in data loss. And for the sake of the recording, that's issue 3537624. So I have set up a test site. And how do we illustrate the problem for this
Steps to
issue?
reproduce say the following. First, create a content type with a body field.
So let's see, this is umami. Do any of the existing content types have body fields? I think they do. So at least the basic page probably does. Yep.
Yeah. And then go to edit.
And select the filter format restricted
Yeah.
HTML.
Go to the edit body field
Yep,
button.
yep. And this is something that used to be in a contrib module, but was brought into core, right? Restricted HTML.
No. And create a node with content for the body field.
Okay. Content. Add content. Basic page. Test page for data loss.
Mm-hmm.
Here is some text in the body field.
And just save.
I'm going to publish it before saving it.
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
good. And next, execute that PHP code.
Okay, so you won't be able to see this because I'm only sharing my browser screen, but
But one question, could you paste the command you execute into the chat afterwards? Because that is the part I've was unable to manage last week with DDEV, and I would be curious what the correct syntax is.
you want that in the chat?
Yeah, afterwards, after executing, if you could paste the command into the chat as well.
It's very
Possible.
simple. It is just drush PHP.
Yeah, I thought we did that as well, but something didn't work out. Not sure. Maybe my install is broken.
And that gave me an interactive PHP shell, and I copied and pasted this
Just
command.
that? Okay.
So there is no restricted HTML format anymore. Check the node, the body field and its content is gone. Not sure about the grammar there, but let's see if I reload the view page. That is gone. If I edit it, I don't call this data loss.
It is just hidden.
Does it filter out HTML if there was some?
Well, that's another question.
If there is maybe a table or something like that.
So do you want me to add some HTML markup in here?
With the filter with the filter, so that does it kind of just drop the like if there is HTML table in the like with the text format, and then you delete the text format, what happens to the table?
So I'd have to go through the steps to reproduce again to find out.
Yeah. Because
Um,
then it would be data loss in a sense.
I'm going to guess that there are no options under this select list because we selected a particular format and now it's gone. Oh, but I'm wrong. So as a content editor, well, no, I take that back because I'm logged in as an admin with all permissions. But if I have access to this, and we know that changing text formats can do what you're suggesting, Simo, it can strip markup. Um, but if I have access to change the text format, then I can choose a different format and save. And I haven't lost any markup. I haven't lost any data.
There is another interesting detail just looked into it, because the setting before you deleted it, the text format was basically that only the restricted HTML is allowed as the text format. The others were disallowed, and now basically none of the available checkboxes left is checked anymore, so everything is allowed, and therefore you now see all of a sudden full HTML and basic HTML allowed again, which is disallowed. This is also a problem because you've intentionally chosen to only allow restricted HTML here.
Right. I mean that's a problem, but it is not data loss.
No, that doesn't mean, but I consider it still a problem. Because
Right.
the circumstances because let's say you don't notice that that thing gets deleted and you're a content editor and now you use, for example, full HTML instead as one of the text formats available from that point on.
If as a content editor, I have permission to use full HTML.
Yeah, agreed. But still, you as a content editor don't mind. You just use what's available and you don't question your choices there. And so it might lead into problems further down the road until everything is cleaned up.
So I was planning to do some SQL queries and see whether the uh, the the body text was still in the database, but of course I don't have to because what I already did,
Yeah.
proves that the data wasn't actually lost. Um, okay, so this seems like a very, very useful observation for the issue, but it's not really a usability comment. What should we look at next?
Uh, as mentioned before the meeting, the thing we've discussed last week was, let's say a text format is getting deleted that way, and you don't only have one or two nodes, but as I've said, thousands, 10,000, or way, way more. And then to figure that out and switch text formats and to figure out which nodes are affected by the change might be cumbersome.
Could be very cumbersome, yes.
And yeah,
Now, if there were a way in the admin UI to delete a text format, I would say we should bring up a nice big confirmation form saying this is going to cause problems for nodes currently using the text format. This is going to cause problems for fields that are configured to use only that text format. Yeah, continue at your own peril, or whatever the standard message is for text formats. In fact, there is no way in the admin UI to delete a text format, which is why we were given this PHP snippet. Am I on the...
yeah, you're only able to disable a text format.
So I wonder, they give this explanation. The field storage has a config dependency on the filter format. Thus, when the filter format is deleted, the field and field storage is deleted as well, even though it has data. And that doesn't seem to be the case. Right, just looking at this page, the field has not been deleted. And I was able to save this, wasn't I? Or did I not try that? Still there.
One question.
Yes.
Could you try something else? Something related? Could you go create another node and set it to, let's say, I know, first go to the content type and set basically basic HTML as the only allowed text format. And then next create a node with basically, yeah, the body field set to basic HTML. Oh,
Slow
sorry.
down.
Okay, yeah, save.
Okay.
Save setting. Yeah, exactly. And now go to the create a node
Uh-oh, I
or
have it.
use that test page for data loss.
So you want me to edit this page?
Yeah, you could simply use that page.
Hang on.
And reassign it to the basic HTML, the body field. Oh, it is oh, is it assigned now?
Yes, when you only allow one um, text format, and that's the intersection of what's on the configuration page and the currently logged in user,
Okay.
then there's no drop down to select.
But it is basically reassigned then that way automatically?
I forget what text format I assigned. I think I made it basic HTML
Okay. And
when I fixed it.
could you now go under configuration?
Maybe add a link with URL and text.
So just using link URL, I always use the Drupal homepage. Like so.
Yeah.
Save.
Ralph, okay, saves. Nothing else to do before I save.
And now go under configuration and content authoring and text formats. And now disable basic HTML.
And here's the confirmation form. Any content saved with this format will not be displayed on the site until it is resaved with an enabled text format.
And if we go now back to the content, to the node.
And just reload.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
And now when you edit it. So here it keeps the HTML. When it was deleted, it didn't have that as a paragraph that here is some text in the body field.
It did have the paragraph tags. It's just that we were looking at it in CK editor, so we were seeing the WYSIWYG version rather than the raw HTML.
Even if it had text format select, so it wasn't assigned a text format.
So now it doesn't have a text format assigned. And if we edit this, oh, curious. So I haven't selected anything. And you would expect both full HTML and plain text to be available formats.
Yep.
I'm going to clear caches in my terminal window. And then I'm going to force reload this page. Why don't I have the option for plain text? That's peculiar. And I think that in the previous experiments, I also didn't see the option for plain text, although I'm not sure of that.
Out of curiosity, is plain text equal to no text format?
No. Plain text will escape any HTML in the field.
Yeah, but I mean plain text from a standpoint of oh no, forget what I said.
So let me explicitly allow the two remaining text formats and see whether I now have the option to choose plain text. Very odd that I didn't before.
Maybe it was overwritten by that select option. So that would be just a coding bug, so that it would, instead of plain text, it showed that select.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not what I expected, but anyway, we do get a link. I guess that's because the plain text format.
You can see that HTML entity greater than at the end of the.
Yes. So is this a broken link? Clicking on it doesn't do anything. Very strange. Oh, but I was thinking that it might still have the filter to turn URLs into links enabled, but then the rest of this wouldn't be um, part of the link. So the plain text format seems to be broken. Funny. Um, so I haven't deleted the basic HTML. I just disabled it. I could enable it again. But I'm still not sure what we're going to say on the issue about all of these experiments, or what do you want to do next?
I'm thinking that we should try to keep the user experience as close as possible to the disabled format. But if we can't figure out what is the difference between disabled and deleted in this case.
There is basically no difference. The only exception is that with delete, it is not available in the UI, and that it would basically the setting for that format would be gone entirely. While with disabled, you're blending it out, same as delete, but it's still the setting is still there, and you can re-enable it. That's the only difference. But the consequence for in the front end or for the user is identical from my perspective.
I mean, why is this a problem? Well, maybe they're thinking of decoupled sites, and
Yeah.
using JSON API, you can actually delete a
Yep.
format rather than, okay. So that's why it's an issue. And probably instead of executing this PHP code, the steps to reproduce could give an alternative using JSON API, blah, 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 blah. And that would have the same effect.
Fargo Wolfgang Siegler is active in the context of Nuxt.js frontend.
Okay, is that the one who filed the issue? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And right under, at the top of the issue, it does mention that while there's no UI to delete a filter format, doing it via an API in update functions. I'm surprised he doesn't mention, the issue doesn't mention JSON API. And what is this related issue? Whatever issue you're linking to was closed as a duplicate. And it would be nice if we had some agreed standards on putting in links to duplicate issues, but presumably the comment where it's closed as a duplicate has a link, and that screen, which suggests that it was recently fixed. Config entities implementing entity with plugin collection interface should ask the plugins to react when their dependencies are removed. And it's marked as fixed. Um, so that path to creating this problem seems to have already been ruled out. Go ahead, Ralph.
One question. Would it be a viable step, for example, if, let's say, we are in the UI right now and we disable the text from it there, you get basically the warning message. But alongside the warning message, would it be a viable step to simply say, I'm disabling text format, let's say plain text, and to provide the option to reassign nodes that are currently having with fields that are currently have that plain text format assigned and reassign it to something else? That you basically don't run into the issue of you doing searching the needle in the haystack and search for every node with fields and manually reassign them and simply do that upfront. Is that technical possible? And would it make sense?
Is it technically possible? Yes. Is it technically a good idea? I'm not sure because, you know, giving the warning suggests that this site administrator should, make sure it's not going to cause problems before actually disabling it. I wonder, is it possible to disable? It is not possible to disable plain text. Also, this message here might explain why I didn't see it before. This format is shown when no other formats are available.
Mm.
So plain text is not your typical
Yeah,
text format. You can't disable it, and even when you have access to it,
yeah.
you may not see it in the select list.
It was just an arbitrary example because I blanked on full HTML and basic HTML, the labels. But I just meant as exchange it with basic HTML. If you go on disabling basic HTML, then asking, yeah, should it basically,
Right,
switch to
right.
something else?
So I just enabled it so that I can disable it again and look
Okay.
at the confirmation form. Um, so you would like to add more information to this
Uh,
confirmation form?
no, basically an actionable item that you instead of informing that way, you say, hey, it's on you to find all the nodes with fields that are having the basic HTML text format assigned. Do your search on your own. It's basically, it's your problem now. Instead, the question is, why not instead provide some sort of actionable item that says simply, you're disabling basic HTML. Do you want to assign it to something else as an option? That is the basic idea. Because the person disabling is ideally knowing what they are doing.
Um, Again, technically possible, but I'm not sure that it's technically a good idea.
Okay. I mean, the reason why I've suggested it is basically if you disable the basic HTML text format and then you go manually into it and to assign it to something else, that manual step has to be done anyway, or that step. That was basically the thinking behind it.
I mean, how often does this come up? I mean, if you want to disable a text format, then what you have to do is create a view, find all the fields that are currently using that text format. And if you have a big complicated site with lots of content types and lots of fields and lots of paragraphs, yeah, that's a big job. And by the way, that level of complexity is why I think it's not a good idea to shove it, an automatic version of it, into
Mhm.
a confirmation form. Confirmation forms should be very simple. Totally off topic, but confirmation forms should also be modals. And maybe our time would be better spent thinking about that issue. But anyway, back to the issue at hand. Yeah, you've got to find every field that's using that text format, and and once you have your view, maybe you can use views bulk operations to reassign it. And you should do all of that before disabling the text format, unless this is your peculiar way of hiding data from the view mode of nodes and paragraphs. Like maybe this is what you want to happen, that you have the special Halloween text format with lots of text that shows up on your site, and tomorrow it's not Halloween anymore. So tomorrow you're going to disable the Halloween text format, and all that text will go away. Because who needs workspaces? um, I I I don't think I have ever disabled text format on any site I've ever dealt with. Um, so yes, if you're going to do something very peculiar, it will have consequences, and if you don't like those consequences, you have to do something about it. Um, I this is obviously not a usability opinion, but um, I kind of think that this is a great big won't fix.
Won't fix
So
even.
yeah, so first of all, um, the issue mentioned in the issue description has already been fixed, or it's been declared a duplicate of an issue that is now fixed. So um, so the remaining ways of actually deleting a filter format are either by executing some PHP code, and oh my gosh, if you can execute arbitrary PHP code, you can break a site. Well, we already know that. And this is a very particular example of that. Maybe you could delete it using JSON API, but why would you? Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it, doesn't mean you're going to do it. And then secondly, it's not actually data loss. It's just data that's not being displayed. So put those two together. It's not actually data loss, And you know, the way you found of this actually happening has already been fixed. So maybe instead of don't fix, it should be outdated. Um, but yeah, I think before considering any usability issues, you have to decide whether this issue is still relevant, and I don't think it is.
Yeah, I agree that if it doesn't delete data, then it's not something that needs to be kind of that. It's not such a big thing.
Yeah, where was it just marked as critical?
So basically, I'm thinking if uh, if if this is something that one thing I'd like to see that, well, then we would need a site with a code base so that we could delete the filter format and then check that the text is missing and then restore it via config import. If that fixes it, then there is a kind of a obvious fix for this one. Just get it back from the code repository.
So let's see, and why is it critical? Bumping this to critical, nothing should be able to delete a populated storage in this way without an explicit user decision. When we uninstall a module, for example, the user has to do bulk operation to remove module content before they can uninstall it. So I'm not sure whether XJM is referring to the field storage and the field configuration that are being deleted, or the text in the field. So let's see. I've been testing on the branch from the current merge request. Um, I often, when I'm testing, merge with the current development branch 11.x. I don't think I did that this time. Um, so so, so probably people working on this issue like Godot is late just sort of routinely merged. Yeah, here's added 350 commits. That's merging with the current 11.x branch. And that was only a few days ago, a week ago.
Last Friday.
And it was also retagged with needs usability review to evaluate whether something like number 25 is needed. This is what I'm reading. And updated the issue summary to note that as a remaining task. So what was 25? I wonder if it would make sense to show on entity view a message that the formatted text field cannot be displayed because of the missing filter format. And not to all users, but it's some based on some permissions.
Yeah, that was the thing we thought last week, to have a similar widget shown or notice, like with the example Simo showed on the screenshot, with not allowed to use a text format.
Right, but that screenshot was from the edit page, not the view page, right?
Yeah.
And here Godot is late is suggesting showing something on the view page, which is kind of different.
Yeah, I was thinking that one option to show information on the view page would be a status message, but that wouldn't be useful if somebody is accessing it from API.
Right. Okay, we have 4 minutes left in the meeting. I will volunteer to leave a comment on the issue unless one of you would rather do it. I don't
You
hear
can.
any. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I was supposed to write a comment about what we talked last week, but with the the current information, if there is no data loss currently, then it's maybe you can explain it better.
Okay. So I'll do that possibly later today. No promises. Um, Anything else? 3 minutes left.
Maybe create a separate follow-up at one point for, of course, the same problems as with disabled. If someone disables it, to have some sort of reports page, more handy for people not knowing views that in depth, and to provide some sort of help and guidance. Maybe that might be a reasonable step, but out of the scope for this issue. So
All right. Well, that comes back to XJM's comment that I was looking at earlier, the comment where XJM marked it as critical. Comparing it to what happens when you uninstall a module. The user has to do a bulk operation to remove module content before they can uninstall it. You know, sometimes when you're doing something unusual, you have to do some work. I'm not sure that Drupal core should be making all of those things one-click operations because they're very unusual and because it's very complicated. That means the code to implement it is complicated and hard to maintain.
just one last question. Is it technically possible to know on how many fields or nodes a text format is actively used?
That's very hard because remember, fields can be attached to paragraphs or to nodes
Okay.
or
Okay.
media entities or taxonomy terms.
Okay.
And
S-
probably also it's possible to change the active format between revisions.
Oh. Oh.
yeah, it's really complicated.
Oof.
So,
Hmm.
so don't delete your text formats. You're just asking for trouble.
I realize
Okay,
that now.
I'm going to stop my screen share. Thank you both. This was an unusual meeting. We're talking more about uh, we're talking more about code maintainability and things and usability issues, but at least I think we have a useful comment to post on that particular issue.
Yep.
Agreed. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'll be able to make next week's meeting. Hope you two can as well. And have a good weekend.
Likewise. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
We can